Red Glass by Laura Rousseau. Chapter 19, Stairway to Heaven. Something entered me like a wave. Tenderness, seeing his eyes closed without sunglasses, his neck naked without piles of gold chains, his hair with no baseball cap, a simple blue t-shirt, bruises speckling his face, a stitched-up gash across the forehead, his left eyelid swollen and purple, his arms under the thin white sheet, one folded over his chest, the outline of his body. He slept, or maybe he was in a coma, but there was no monitor screen with beeping heartbeats. Didn't they have to do that if he was in a coma? A single tube was taped to his hand and attached to a plastic bag of clear liquid hung from a pole. My chest tightened. What if he was in a coma? What if he never woke up? He hadn't heard my knock, but the knock had been soft. "Angel," I whispered. No answer. Well, he was a sound sleeper. But this was midday. I took a step closer. His chest was moving. He was alive, breathing on his own. I sat down and watched him, marveling at the slightest flutter of skin. I watched the pulse at his neck, felt grateful for its rhythm, grateful for the little creases at the edges of his eyes, for the skin that curved over his cheekbone. I noticed 3 more bandages on his neck and thin dark lines of scabbed blood. Pictured how this had happened and felt furious at the guys who had hurt him and helpless that I couldn't undo it. But most of all, I felt amazed at how delicate life was, like a petal underneath a hovering fingernail. And at the same time, life was strong, almost stubborn in its insistence that a body could be so battered and still heal. For a long time, I watched his chest rising and falling, as though my eyes controlled its rhythm. After a time, I took in the room. It was weird. Sculptures of large breasts hung from the cinder block walls, perfect white half spheres with pink nipples, and signs that said, "Mother's milk, the greatest gift." Next to them hung pictures of bottles and cans of formula with big slashes like the slash through a cigarette on a no smoking sign. Other signs were piled in the corner. This seemed to be a kind of large storage closet with metal folding chairs stacked in the corner and 2 stretchers pushed against the wall with sheets and towels piled up. A bandage with dried blood lay abandoned on one of the stretchers. A broom and mop leaned in a pail in the corner. Over a second bed, a small window looked out to a scrawny tree. Sunshine spilled through the window, lighting up a rectangle on the tile floor. I pulled one of the mangoes out of my backpack, peeled the skin back, and took a bite. Angel moved slightly. His eyes opened. "Hi," I said, suddenly shy. He stared. I didn't know what to say. After 2 days of bus rides, how could I have nothing planned to say? Want some water?" I handed him the glass from the bedside table. He drank 3 long gulps, still staring. "Hungry?" I offered him my mango. Why was I so nervous? "Lime girl?" His words were slurred, his tongue thick in his mouth. He bit into the mango. "This is a dream, right?" He brought his hand up to my neck. He moved my face towards his and kissed me. It tasted like mangoes. At that moment, the door swung open and the stout nurse poked her head in. "Good, you're awake. Who wouldn't be for a pretty girl?" She winked at me and said, He just woke up yesterday. He was unconscious for days, you know. His father went out to get some food. Very nice man. Imagine, he doesn't like our food here." She chuckled. "Now, don't you worry, Gringa. He's just groggy from the painkillers. He'll be fine." The door swung closed behind her. Angel turned to me. "This isn't a dream, is it?" "No," I laughed. "I brought you the visas and money." "Oh, how did you get here?" "By bus. People looked out for me. They gave me a place to sleep and food to eat. There are lots of nice people in your country, you know." He pulled me down so that our faces were close on the pillow. "I didn't find my mom, Sophie." I felt a mix of relief and disappointment. Maybe the corn had been wrong. "I found the jewels," he said. "I dug them up, but then the guys stole them. The guys who did this to me. They stole the money too, and my chains and glasses and even my shoes. They took my shoes." "What happened?" He spoke in a slow, hoarse voice as though his mouth was out of practice. "I was going to come back to you, Sophie. When I dug up the jewels, the first thing I thought was, I want Sophie to see these. I want her to wear them." We kissed again and looked at each other, so close our faces were out of focus and we could see our miniature faces in each other's pupils. "Well, how did this happen, Angel?" He brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. "It was the night before me and my dad were going to leave. My dad went to say goodbye to some old friends, and I went out to buy some food for the trip. I didn't think my box would be safe in the motel, so I carried it with me in my backpack. I put our passports and money in my backpack too. So I buy a bag of tamales, and on the way back, I hear noises behind me and voices, loud and drunk. 6 guys. One of them says to hand over my backpack, and I say no. That's when they start hitting me. I put up a good fight for a while, but there were too many of them. Once I can barely stand, the leader tells them to stop. 2 guys are holding me now, one on each side. Up close, I see tattoos on their cheeks, cross tattoos. The leader says, "Look, you're a good fighter. We could use someone like you. What do you say? Join us." I shake my head. "Never." Wrong answer. The leader grabs a board with nails and whacks me. The guys are holding me and he's whacking me with the board. Then another guy breaks his beer bottle on a rock and starts beating me. Then I'm on the ground, all curled up like this, and the leader gets out a knife and moves it to my throat. This is it, I'm thinking. This is the end. Suddenly, a guy in a black baseball cap calls out, "Yeah, that's enough. Let's go. Someone's coming." So the others rip off my backpack and sunglasses and chains and shoes. Then they take off. I'm thinking, I'm going to die. I can't see anything. And just before I black out, I see the guy in the baseball cap look back at me. And behind him, a woman in a white dress. And I think she's an angel, and I am going to heaven. And I think about you, and I see the moon, and you watching the moon and waiting for me, and then everything goes dark. He closed his eyes, worn out from so much talking. I stroked his forehead and watched him sleep. As he drifted off, his muscles tensed for a moment, and he called out my name. "I'm here, Angel," I said. "I'm with you."